playoff picture is starting to take shape, and it's do or die if you want to make top 6. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Week 5 of VCT Americas, coming to you live from the Riot Games Arena in Los Angeles, California. I'm Golden Boy, your host, of course, joined here by Mimi as well as Sean. It's a pleasure to have you both back with me again, and I'm glad you didn't decide to just leave after yesterday.
I almost did.
You almost did?
It was close.
Oh,
But I wanted to stick around.
After this segment, I might steal that and just leave.
You can't just steal. You know what?
That's
He's going to
crime.
steal the spike in the corner. This is atrocious. All right, folks. First, let's talk about what happened yesterday. On this very stage, we had 100 Thieves take on NRG. And here's the thing. We expected it to be a banger of a matchup, but Sean, it ended up not being.
No, I mean, it started off pretty good, right? I thought 100 Thieves was going to go blow for blow with NRG. And particularly the way they opened it up in this piece, I thought they were going to start using the teleporter deep in this half, but the game plan just fizzled out, and the Harbor just reigned supreme in this matchup.
It was really about the adaptation for NRG. Finesse was absolutely on point with the calling. You got Victor back on the comfort roll with the Rays. And then after that series wrapped up nice and quick, we got on to another quick series where it was a comeback by Furia in map number 1. It looked like MIBR was going to steal it away. But on this second half, Furia's attack side was looking excellent. Dujazin had a massive return to form. And after that game, it really was just one-sided all the way through in map number 2. It was the game that Furia needed after a tough Super Week to build back into that confidence and keep the hopes alive of being a top 4 team.
Yeah, it definitely sets up Furia for success down the line. Obviously, for MIBR, that loss is probably going to sting quite a bit. But, you know, I mean, that is just how the cookie crumbles, right? It was overall, though, 2 great matches, and a lot of answers were definitely given to us throughout yesterday. But let's go ahead, though, and check out what we're going to be checking out today, because we have Sentinels facing off against Cloud9, and then after that, it's going to be Leviathan squaring up against Evil Geniuses. So we have an all-NA banger at the start of this competition, at the start of this day, rather, Mimi, and this is going to be an exciting one for sure, because well, it's Sentinels and Cloud9. Doesn't get better than that.
It's going to be great. Cloud9 have already toppled every other North American team without dropping a map. Now they have their last hurdle in Sentinels, who have just announced the full roster change. And then the second series as well, I think, could be better than people expect. EG's been kind of on the upswing.
Yeah, I think EG can actually hang with Leviathan in that second matchup. And we talked about the changing of the map pools, taking Icebox out, Vines back in. That might favor EG in that matchup. But the first match, I kind of want all of NA to just kind of burn mentally and have Sentinels win that game. So that way we have the trio of, you know, like, NRG beat Sentinels, but Sentinels beat Cloud9, and Cloud9 beat NRG.
Oh, so you want carnage and chaos.
Yes.
That's what you want.
That's what I want.
I want some clarity. I would love to see a 5-1 Cloud9 and them just winning out the rest of the season. That'd be a crazy story. But either way, that game should be fantastic. And there's some big implications for the standings there. EG already have 1 win. If they could upset Leviathan today, that throws the middle of the pack into absolute chaos.
Yeah, it really does. And furthermore, I mean, for Sentinels today, you're really looking for them to be able to pick up that win, go 3-3 in the overall. C9, though, sitting pretty in second place, and it's just a position that I genuinely thought we would never see, Sean. Incredible to see.
I know, a win today, they could really lock in that second place almost deep in this split. But like Mimi said, this could be really chaotic. EG gets a win today against Leviathan, Sentinels get a win. Imagine the center of this page. It would just be so clustered, and it would all come down to the last couple weeks.
Yeah. Safe to say, no one knows what's happening in Americas. Heck, none of us know what's happening, because as we're nearing the midpoint of Week 5, I think it's time, of course, to check in on our beautiful power rankings
They're not
here.
beautiful.
Oh, it's
Don't
so
lie to the
great.
audience.
Well, let's go ahead and do another awesome installment of some power rankings and see where we're going to be for Week 5. Okay, so this is where we were before.
This was Josh last time who put Furia number 1. If anything, I feel like Week 1 is more reasonable at this point, but
Here
it's
we
still
go.
bad.
Well, let's start with some teams, shall we?
Okay.
Let's go. Let's have some NA fun and with crew as well. So let's start with
noted
crew.
NA team, crew.
Noted NA team.
I don't think crew changes. I still think they're
And
near the
EG.
bottom here. They're still winless. I honestly think they've looked better than MIBR, though. So I might have to keep them in number 9. The consistency.
Wait.
They beat MIBR,
Okay, we're
or
good.
they lost MIBR, but I still think they look better. MIBR's look tragic.
Whoa.
Okay,
Okay,
she
where's
put
he
crew in
going?
at 9th. Where are you going to
That
put
is
it?
kind of crazy. You're making me put
We only have
them
2.5
both.
minutes. Go,
This
go,
is
go,
actually
go, go.
crazy what you're doing to me right now.
That almost feels low for EG.
You're trolling
They took a
me.
map offline.
Here you go.
I'm not trolling
100 Thieves
whatsoever.
and maybe some Cloud9, huh?
100 Thieves. Okay, so part of me thinks they've had a resurgence, but they also just got stomped by NRG. They're worse than Cloud9.
I'm gonna go 7. I'm not gonna lie,
7.
Davey. I think
Okay.
I don't see another team there above, but Cloud9.
Oh,
Gotta be
Cloud9.
second, right?
I mean, my NA bias kind of.
NA bias? NA bias?
No.
Okay.
No. They
All
literally
right.
lost
Listen,
line. You
you
cannot do
troll
that.
me. I'm gonna come back.
Why is anyway? Okay, here we go. Have fun, guys. We're gonna do
It's crazy.
That is actually
Sentinels?
insane. I can't believe I just
8
did
to
that.
Leviathan.
7 to 2. Sentinels have looked really good as well, but we have Energy and Leviathan still to place. Who else do we still have to place? We still have MIBR.
We have Loud, NRG, Fury, and MIBR.
Maybe number 6. Maybe they're also just, but they've looked better. Maybe
Oh,
5.
God,
Okay,
we
sure,
have
I'm
to-
doing 5.
This is actually crazy.
With Mark, they look really
are
good.
Leviathan better than NRG, and they beat NRG.
They beat NRG, but NRG was also looking kind of garbage then, and now they're looking
Leviathan
really
looks
good.
pretty
Have fun.
bad lately. Oh
Dude,
my
I'm
God.
just sending it.
I'm
The
gonna-
Oh,
energy's
he's
there.
sending it. Oh, no, shot. Stick it.
We have the
Why are you guys
dragon.
rushing?
We have a minute left. We have a minute left. You don't have to
Okay.
rush.
I have to fix the
Okay,
tape. We have
Sean,
desperate repairs.
here's Mabir. Go nuts. Some MIBR. Where are you
Gotta
gonna
be
put
10.
him?
This is
It's
cap.
gotta be 10. They haven't won like any rounds.
No.
They've been last 3 games have all been 2-0s against them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So I
They've been
was
getting
very
rolled.
purposeful in picking the last 2, Furia and Loud, because if you look there has to be, someone was off the goop.
okay, it's
so
Loud.
here you go.
It's-
No, this is Furia.
Wait.
Where's Furia gonna go,
No.
Mimi?
Surely we're not putting Furia below Sentinels.
No.
Have they played Sentinels yet?
This is wrong.
Have they played Sentinels yet? I don't remember.
Can we put Leviathan at 6 and
He's
Fury
not
at
gonna help
3?
me.
Yeah, I'm
Leviathan?
ignoring this question.
I think you have to commit. I mean, we have 30 seconds,
30
guys.
seconds?
This is
We have 30. You got to commit where you put
They
them. All
definitely go
right.
up here.
Loud's first, and we're putting Furia in 6.
Furia played a close game against MIBR. They had a
this
rough
is-
Super
no,
Week.
they're
They
not
looked
6.
Oh God!
6
but
is still making
Sentinels
playoffs,
Sentinels
by the
is
way.
Just hugging it. Okay.
Oh,
I
wow.
think that's it. Wait. Okay.
Sen City is
Energy
not
above
happy
Lev
about
is
this.
crazy.
How the mighty have
But
fallen.
they've also looked better. Oh.
Wow. So you guys are satisfied with this, right?
No, this is
kinda-
horrible.
Great. They're satisfied, everyone. They're satisfied. We're satisfied too. Look at that. You got in first, it's Loud, then C9, then NRG, then Leviathan, Furia, Sentinels, 100 Thieves, EG Crew, and finally MIBR. Tell us
it that bad?
what you think of our power rankings. Are they troll?
C9 is on that X.
Or are they based? Use the hashtag VCT
That's the
Americas
red
or VCT. We can feature your tweets on the broadcast, and you can tell these wonderful people whether they are right or wrong. But after the
definitely
break, we're going to dive into today's first matchup. It's going to be Sentinels facing on Cloud9. We'll see you, of course, on the other side.
Unreal from Saucy again!
Could be a bit of a trap play because they're not expecting it. The knives in his hands and 4 kills.
Welcome back, one and all, to VCT Americas. It's time to dive into our first match of the day. It's a good old-fashioned NA showdown. It's Sentinels squaring off against Cloud9. Now, let's go ahead and talk about C9 first and foremost, because they're coming into this one in second place. They're 3-0 against NA teams. And look, they have looked fantastic. I think that there's been a lot of conversation about whether or not this team is truly in that second place spot. But look at them. Death's door is knocking, baby. They're going through, and Sentinels are the last target.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared for Sentinels because in all of these games against the NA teams, Cloud9 has brought some crazy game plans, a lot of counter strats, a lot of work from MCE. And I think the same is going to happen today. So as Kaplan, this is his first true test, in my opinion, as a head coach.
Yeah.
Can he bob and weave around that game plan that MCE can create?
The game plans have been fantastic from this team, but also their ability to adapt on the fly has been so impressive to me, especially since they're coming in with a new, fairly untested IGL. And they've been making the right calls against some fantastic teams. And beyond just the ideas, they're also winning some ridiculous rounds. The way they approach the ecos in particular is so impressive, because it never feels like they're calling a strat that's just throwing away one of these rounds. Instead, they always have a proper idea of how to play out this eco, of how to trade each other out. And the people are just individually fantastic with the sheriff, which means they're winning 32% of their ecos, which is absurd.
Yeah, it's crazy because they knew this the second these two players were brought in. I remember an interview from like week 1 where they interviewed Jake, and he was talking about how they have so much confidence buying these sheriffs. This was like fresh out of the Stinger meta. So,
yeah,
you know, they're just getting used to these buys, and they were super confident in week 1. And now we're seeing the results like deep into this season of how that confidence has paid off. So Cloud9 know they're capable of flipping these rounds, and it's showing time and time again throughout this tournament. They can do it against the upper echelon of this group.
And that's what shows this team being so quality, because they can come in to a map number 1, have a fantastic game plan, win out there.
Yeah.
And then when things descend into scrappiness, when they need to recover, they're still winning those pivotal rounds that aren't a matter of planning and game plan, but just of individual prowess and coordination to bring them back into series where it looks like they could have struggled.
What's so surprising about this team is that the individual skill, as noted, unreal. Like, really, every player contributes effectively, you know, given the circumstances in the server at any point in time. They're always there to step up. But also, they have been innovators as well with just the way that they have approached the game, the way that they played the game. Mimi, it's been very cool to see the way that this team kind of breaks it down and figures it all out, you know, especially with how much competition is here in America.
You already mentioned the coaching staff, Sean, but the comps and the ideas this team is cooking up are so good, and they're also unique. It's not like they're just copying ideas from other squads. They're bringing out their own twist on things, and I think their Ascent was the best example. They have a lot of game plans built around the Viper, using those mollies to break turrets to push forward, playing different walls that they can drop and fight forward instead of just that default mid-orb, and also having cool ideas with the Viper pit, like that one. This is a squad who puts a lot of time in behind the scenes to prepare, to come up with these strategies, and they implement them so well.
Yeah, like you said, they're not just taking other people's ideas, right? You might have seen similar pits from Stellar on 100 Thieves, but they're adding layers to the things that they take from other teams. They're making it their own. They're making it better. Yeah. And like you said, they're running all these crazy comps. MCE, let's not forget, he was the one that was running the Phoenix Sage at the start of this split on Pearl and got mad value out of that. So they're willing to take huge risks in the comps they choose.
The quality of those game plans as well is so impressive because they're willing to pivot their comps and their game plans week to week. They made 2 comp changes going into their matchup in Super Week, one out on both those. One of them was newly implementing that Viper, which looked excellent. This squad is really, really good of coming up with ideas and not just finding something that works for them and sticking to it fully.
Yeah, that is the reason why C9 is in the position that they're in right now. But for more on C9's comp changes and, of course, the implementation of Harbor, let's go ahead and hear from Zelsis.
I was definitely one of the people that thought Harbor was trash. Obviously, now I play him on Pearl, so he's obviously not trash. When an agent like that comes out, it's very hard to use. Like his utility is not like clear cut. You kind of have to have like a plan. You kind of have to have like what you're doing with him, and it takes time. And I think it's just like another one of those things where like every agent is playable if you have a plan. And I think that's like the biggest thing is like a lot of teams are scared to like pull it out in a match if it's not going well in scrims or if it's just like mediocre in scrims. But people started getting success with him on certain maps. You started to realize you could pair him with another controller, and it's hard to like hold sites or it cuts off like lines for people, Sentinels, ops, stuff like that. So I think he's like, people just got used to his kit, I think, was the main thing.
wild to think where the game was even at lock-in versus now. I feel like we're seeing so many different change-ups, and it's just great to hear that perspective there, Sean, from Zelsis about, like, oh yeah, I was kind of hating on Harbor, but now, I'm seeing what the value that double controllers bring to the table.
It's totally understandable, though, because it's something you see a lot in this scene, right? People dismiss certain agents. They don't give them really a chance, but then they see them in certain comps or how they pair when certain abilities happen, and the picture totally changes, right? And I think the same thing will happen with Gecko. I think once people understand how to synergize his abilities with another initiator or another controller really effectively, that's when we're going to see the Gecko pick rate go through the roof. That's exactly what, Zelsa is talking right there with Harbor.
Yeah, and I think that obviously, when you discuss these composition changes and whatnot, there's always going to be that hesitancy because it's new, it's fresh. It might be a little too risky to bust it out into an official. But you're starting to see a lot of these teams like, screw it, let's just go for it. Let's see what happens here, Mimi.
Cloud9 has been willing to do that as well with that first Pearl comp they brought out, which was so different than everyone else with the Sage, with the Phoenix. MC's vision of the game is in a lot of ways different to what other squads have brought out, which I think is one of the strengths of this squad. They're willing to take those risks.
Yeah, no, of course. Now, obviously, as we talk about Cloud9, we are legally obligated to say Leaf good. Also, Leaf Jet.
It's in the contract.
Very good. It's in the contract. I can't do anything about it, blame Jack. But the thing is, Leaf is very good, Mimi. He's making these individual plays, and it's just so refreshing to see someone take command of the server the way that he does.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he's a pretty good player. Yeah. I like him. I think he's good at the video game, but on a serious note, this guy is insane as an individual. He's the second best statistical player, only behind Ospas right now across the majority of his stats. He provides so much value individually as a Jet player. But on top of that, he's also a voice on the team, and he's also flexible. Behind the scenes, MC has talked about how he's one of the players who actually watches the most Valorant outside of their own games, is helping them to kind of come up with ideas for comps, to adapt, to make calls in the mid-round, in the mid-game to help out. Leaf is really a player who does it all for Cloud9.
He really is. He's doing it all for them behind the scenes. He's helping Zep as far as pairing with duo stuff. We've heard that in interviews. Like you said, watching the VODs. But his impact is so noticeable when you watch these games. It's in a lot different way than you watch Aspas, for example, who's opping more. When you watch Leaf, it's a lot of Bladestorm clips like we just saw, a lot of rifle entries, very, very aggressive plays that he's super confident in making. And honestly, Cloud9 thrives with him when he's on this Jet role.
He's great on the Jet, but he can also play other agents. Last week, they were playing a lot of the Rays, which Zeppa slots into. And on the Sky, it still seems like he's providing just as much value for the squad, plus continuing to have great util usage on the role. Yeah,
it's ridiculous that he plays a duelist effectively. He can do literally anything. And then when you want to take him off of that, he can slot into another role. The man actually is the perfect weapon. And that is part of the reason why Cloud9 have had so much success. And their opponents are going to need to watch out because we're moving on to the Sentinels. And last week, look, they finally delivered that dominant win that we've all been waiting for. It was a 2-0 win, but here's the kicker, kids. It was against MIBR, and MIBR has been having a bit of a struggle as of late. I don't want to take that win away from Sentinels, but I do want to set reasonable expectations going into this game against a very game and prepared Cloud9.
Reasonable expectations are what we should come in with, but we also shouldn't forget that first game in Super League, where they took a map off lab. Seems like a couple teams have managed to do that, but it's still an impressive achievement for a team with very little practice going into that Super Week. Now they've made the decision to put Marv full-time into this roster, and I think with a lot more prep off of the fantastic structure and background that they already have, this team's peak is very, very high.
Yeah, I mean, let's just lay out all the cards on the table here. We're in a double controller meta. These guys have Marv and Pencata on their team.
The two best controllers in the world.
Probably, yeah, two of the best five, I would say.
That's very true.
Like they are up there. They have Saucy on an initiator role. They have Zekken, who's able to play Raze, Jet, like any duelist you want, and flex into initiators if you want to run no duelist. And then they have Def, who's proven he can play Harbor at a top level. Like, this team is just built for success right now. And I think Kaplan is ready to take them to the next level. This is a really big test today, and I think it'll vault Sentinels to, like, the top of NA if they manage to win today cleanly.
And the roles make so much sense for them as well. Saucy being back on Initiator, he looks so much better. Zekken on the Duelist as well has been great for him. It's the roles that finally make sense for the squad, and the gameplay and and just I think the coordination between the team has really slotted in around those changes.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. The option to take a player and teach them how to play controller and then put them into that role, fantastic. Definitely keep doing that. Yeah. But when Marv is available, you get the boy. You get him.
He's played like 5 maps. He's played 4 controllers. 4 of them besides Harbor. Like his controller pool is ridiculous.
Yeah, the man is absolutely bonkers. But also his coach had a little bit to say about the victory, as well as, you know, just the overall feeling that they have of that they know that this is going to be a grind here. 2-0, GG's to MIBR, huge confidence booster for the team to close the series out in 2, and we needed this win. And I think that is the most important part of that tweet there, is that we needed this win because in the context of the schedule, Mimi, yes, they need it right now.
They absolutely needed that win. But the other thing that sticks with me there is the last part where he says, we completely pugged that fracture, which is a testament to the baseline teamwork of these guys, as well as the incredible on-the-fly calling from Def. That's really the interesting part to me, because Super Week, they just flew Marv in last second, didn't have a lot of time to prepare. They were pugging out a lot of those maps, but they still looked really good. The players were super comfortable in coordinating with one another. The calling was solid. That shows me that, well, this is in a way a new team with Marv coming in. They have that ceiling that they're still yet to hit.
It is interesting, though, that he used the words pugged that fracture. And it's just, how, though? They've been a team for so long, and Marv has been a 6 for a while. You'd think they would have a base, right? It shouldn't feel puggy. It should just feel like a stand-in kind of slot.
But I can also see it from their perspective as well because of the time frame that they had, right? They probably didn't think that they were going to have to slot Marv in this soon, this fast. Yeah. And then on top of which as well, I think that it was a great call out from Kaplan because, you know, Def has been getting, you know, put through the ringer through social media. So it's nice to know that, you know, the team is sticking up for their IGL because he has been playing fantastic Valorant and has been calling really well.
Yeah, he has. And in that game, it was Tim who was really good, even as an individual. He had a ton of impactful clutches on Fracture, but I think your worry is founded because despite the fact that they've had a week now, they still don't have a ton of time to prepare against a team like Cloud9 that has looked so sound.
All right, well, look, guys, on the roster front, Coach Kaplan posted a video announcing that Marv will keep playing and that TenZ, unfortunately, is out for now. While we do love TenZ, we love seeing TenZ play Valorant, it's good to always take that time for yourself, buddy, so get better and, you know, just we'll be here for you when you come back. That being said, now that Marv is in here, Sean, this is going to really open things up, as we were already noting, right? Having that dedicated controller and also just having someone with the ice in his veins the way that Marv has. Just that confidence on the stage goes a long way.
Yeah, the experience, right? And I think of all the people, Marv said that he had a lot of role in the mid-round last week. I don't know how true that is. Marv could be tooting his own horn and stuff, but he definitely has a lot of experience. And he's playing these extremities and hitting insane timings with that experience. I can't believe it looked like he didn't skip a beat, like when we watched him last week. He looked so good on finding those timings. So I want to see him really exploit that more this week. Lurk those extremities.
Well, I know a matchup that we're all very much excited for as well, though, is Jake and Marv, because these two actually seem to have a little bit of a bromance in the making. And actually, here's Jake after winning last week. Says, I see us going 8-1, maybe 7-2 if Marv has a good game and he steps in. Funny enough, said that actually right in front of Marv as he was setting up, if I recall. So I thought that was actually pretty cute. But yeah, and then, of course, Marv had this to say when he watched the clip on his stream.
Where do we see Cloud9 in the standings at the end of the split?
I see us 8-1, maybe 7-2 if Marv has a good game and he steps in.
Damn, that's my guy. Fuck with him now. No cap. Should I follow him now? Yeah. That's my guy right there, yo. He knows me.
That was so nice of him to give him a follow. I was trolling, by the way. Jake didn't say that in front of Marv, but it still was funny to see Marv react like that and then give him the follow. What a guy.
That's just such a Marved moment. Every word he said there was the most Marved thing possible. But yeah, it's cool to see the respect between these two, because Jake has been on the come up as a controller role. And in Super Week, we really saw him come alive. He was fantastic as an individual. His confidence has clearly grown on this big stage. And now he has an opportunity to play against a guy who I think from that quote, he clearly has a lot of respect for.
Yeah, and he should. I mean, Jake should model his game after Marv. I think Marv is one of probably the best controllers in the world. His timings, like I keep saying, lurking the extremities, providing value with his util on the hits, and his trades in these scenarios when you watch these clips are crazy. He's always second, third in, and he's not playing for stats. I was worried after all that time, maybe to retain his brand image, that he would play a little bit for stats. No, these are all impactful kills, hitting great timings, and playing to win the game. This guy is incredible right now.
And so is Jake. He as well has looked so good for his team. Definitely a pivotal piece of that one. When we talk a lot about the stars of this team in Zepp and Leafy. On defense, he's the guy who's going to be consistently locking things down as the anchor. He doesn't go for quite as many.
Hold up, guys. I'm actually getting breaking news. I'm actually being told that a new Kaplan video just dropped, and it's about the roster.
Their match is in 5 minutes.
That's actually crazy because Sentinels social media just posted this message from their coach. Let's see what he has to say.
What up, Sen City? Welcome back. Kaplan here again. Before we head into our match against Cloud9 this week, I wanted to give you a quick roster update. Wait, hold on. We're not doing any more roster changes? What am I reading?
Just keep reading. It'll make sense.
You're doing great, Kaplan. Just pick up on that last sentence.
Okay, before we head into our match against Cloud9 this week, I wanted to give you a quick roster update. Your boy, Jimmy, is looking sick in red. So we're going to have a big... I can't say this. I don't want to swear.
Look, this is what everyone wants to hear. You're doing great, kid.
It feels weird and wrong, though.
You have to curse. Come on, it's Sentinels.
Your boy Jimmy is looking sick in red, so we're going to have a big sale right now in the shop. Save 10% on a Mar jersey if you use the code Really? The code is
Keep reading.
As always, thank you to the fans for your continued support.
I don't know if that was necessarily the update I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. I don't know if that was that useful. I already have a Mar jersey.
What? What do you mean?
I didn't know if we got the information that we needed. Besides,
I got it. I bought the merch.
Oh, you did?
Did you?
Yeah, I got it.
Does the code work?
Yeah, the code works.
Okay, well, I can't say that word. Never mind then. All right, well, it was a good run, everyone. We're almost out of time. So let's do some predictions, shall we? Who is winning this matchup? Sentinels versus Cloud9. Mimi, you'll start first.
Cloud9. They've looked really good thus far. Sentinels is still getting used to this new roster, whereas Cloud9 have had a consistently strong game plan, and I think the NA team storyline, true, it's going to be 2-0 all the way through. Every NA team.
2-0 all the way through. Fascinating prediction. Sean, your thoughts?
Yeah. I need to protect myself from the fan base. So I'm going to go Sentinels here.
Did you just do that?
Yeah, you like
That's
that?
beautiful. There's layering on there, and it like.
Well, I'm used to doing it with my name. It's just missing an A.
Were you a graphic designer in another life, and is that your passion?
This guy's actually Sen Gares.
Yeah, Sen Gares. That's
Sen Gares. All right. Well, I went because even though I'm a big Sentinels fan, I did go with Cloud9. Kind of feel a little bit better. And by the way, look at this artwork.
You did
also,
the logo.
Fun fact: I drew this last week. Left it here, and I didn't have to do it again. That's
really
called
easy.
efficiency, people. So now the question's up to you, whether or not I made this prediction because I actually believe it, or was it convenience? Well, according to the polls, though, I'm winning, baby. So I might just be a gosh darn genius.
I'm really glad they picked a depressed image
Yeah,
for
you
my
look
standard.
sag.
Yeah.
I like how every picture of mine, I look like Jack Black's Puerto Rican cousin. It's fantastic. It's great.
I hate how cocky you look in that. It's just...
I do. I look so, like, you look so happy. But I like how we're focusing on the pictures, but we're not focusing on the fact that I'm at 70% accuracy.
All that matters.
And I'm the host of the show. People don't even know what my job is on Reddit. And I'm predicting better than them.
I'm still better than the audience, so that's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's actually very true.
I can
Being better
beat a
than the
hive
bird is all that I care about. That's all that I care about.
Oh, man. Well, there you have it, folks. Let us know what your predictions are. Make sure you use those hashtags, VCT Americas as well as VCT. But, folks, it's time to get this show underway because we have two fantastic teams that are about to take that stage. It's Sentinels facing off against Cloud9. And then later on, we have Leviathan versus Evil Geniuses right on deck. Folks, VCT America starts right now. This stream contains fast-flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. Everyone was talking about him, and this is going to be the guy to look out for.
Too much Cryo again. Does this guy miss? Does Cryo ever miss? No, he doesn't.
Essa bola fez escala bem, faz duplo abate, vamos Fogão!
Se acaba tempo e leva!
I think they're a really good team. They're like one of the best, so it's going to be a hard matchup.
Shai en contra de dos, situación de clutch. Se asoma a la derecha, termina con uno. Queda en manos de King, que encuentra una bala. Busca la segunda, desactiva la mitad.
Lo que caracteriza a EG sería como las microplays que hacen. Hacen cosas proactivas constantemente.
You gotta be kidding me! On top of the brakes, what is occurring? Last one alive, position no, the team of one wins it out.
I'm excited to play Cloud9. 2 players that were picked up, I had no clue who they were. But they look good. I'm just gonna have to treat them like they're the best.
She's out in the open, and it's Jake with the Sheriff. Dropping up, has to be the re-sweet Jake. Collects. Still Rooney at the back, and what a reset.
They need someone to kill like 3 or 4 in a round for them to win a round, and I just think that is like unreliable. It puts a lot of pressure on the players individually.
A massive kill out from Marv, a massive 3K from Marv. Right into one. Unreal from Saucy again.
Two teams both vying for victories here today. Critical wins. For one squad, it's about maintaining your place near the top of the mountain. And for the other one, it's about clawing your way back to the position that you believe and that your fans believe you belong in. Cloud9 versus Sentinels is about to go down. The teams huddle up as they're getting ready for this one. And I think we're in, Mimi, for an exquisite matchup of Valorant because I think these two teams have been putting in that work this week.
They absolutely have. And for Cloud9, I think they've already pushed off most of their doubters. They're 4-1. They've beaten every North American team except Sentinels. They're looking on top of the world. But for Sentinels now, they're the team in the positions of question. Are they just going to pug things out? Is it just relying on the individual plays? Or with Marv, can they put together a roster that can live up to this squad's initial expectations of being a super team?
I think that's what makes this matchup so spicy. We're super deep into this split right now, and this matchup, there's so many unknowns between the teams. I don't know how either coach or IGL can anti-strat the other one because of the changes that both of them have had and the game plan changes we've seen at Cloud9 consistently.
And for playoffs, this has a lot of implications. Sentinels right now is 2-3. If they lose this game, it starts being pretty hard pressed to find that win, to work back into this one and still make it to playoffs. This is very much a squad at risk.
Yeah, because you also have to factor in this way, right? If Sentinels win this game today, their next matches are going to be EG, then it'll be Crew, and then after that it's going to be Furia. So winnable games for Sentinels and a very doable place for them to maybe end up in the playoffs in a favorable position, Sean. Problem is, though, a loss here today puts a lot of that into flux.
Yeah, it puts a lot into flux for Sentinels, but that's the benefit of having this front-loaded schedule that they had. They had so many tough opponents, and they walked away from it with not a terrible record, actually. 2-2 right now?
Yeah, it's been solid thus far. But for the map leaders here, what I'm interested in is the bans, right? Because thus far, it's been Icebox, mostly a perma for both these teams. That's gone now. So I think both will be willing to play Bind, as we see Split and Pearl out immediately. And Sentinels are actually going to pick into Lotus. Sen have only played this once thus far. Switched over to the Harbor Viper, had a close loss against NRG, and C9 have actually looked great on that map, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Sentinels, when I watched them play Lotus before, they were a little bit slow approaching that A side. I look for today a lot of that to be cleaned up, their attack side to look pristine.
Makes me wonder what they're cooking on that one if they elected to go there, because you're right, Mimi. That is a good map for C9.
Fracture is also one that I think is pretty even territory for both of these teams. They've both looked good on the map thus far. I'd probably lean a little bit more towards Cloud9 on that one, as they have picked into things. We do land, though, as the decider on Haven. Both these teams really just running the default comp. I think if it gets there, it is going to be the game that tests the preparation, the protocols that have been put together for the Sentinel squad.
Oh, this is fascinating.
This is really good. This is a good series because I think both of these teams can play all three of these maps really well. I want to say we've seen them flex comps across these maps other than Haven. So there's a lot of unknowns going into this match right now. What are they going to lock in? I think we're going to see some Harbor Viper for sure here.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, a
Leaf on
comp
the neon.
change. Second is heading over to that Raze. Def is picking this one in, so it should still be a double controller, likely with the Viper from Marved instead. This is a very meta comp. The Raze is an adaptation. A lot of teams run the Jet instead, but I think that's comfort for Second, and also gives you some benefits in A and C long control, particularly on your defense side with that nade.
They switched up the comps, and this is what I'm saying. When I watched Sen play lately, it's very hard to read them if you're their opponents. I love the change to go into this Omen pick, but will they be ready for Neon? The stuns on Long A could take over this game.
In particular, on this defensive side, Cloud9 is fantastic at finding the right defense-sided rotates. Watch for this Neon Sky duo of Zeppa and Leaf and how they play around the map. If they have the right read, they can completely shut down Sen here.
And now it is time to get into the action. Come on, Riot Games Arena. Let's go ahead and make some noise. It's Sentinels and Cloud9. And let's send it over to your casters. Two guys that love tap water, dry toast, and most importantly, boring tosses. It's Brennan's Sideshow.
That's more like it. Yeah, that's suitably British. I mean, we live off tap water and dry toast, and that's it, basically. That's our sustenance.
I'll tell you what isn't going to be a dry toast experience this game. It's clouted. It's insane. It's Cloud9. It's Sentinels. It's two teams in the offseason that were heralded as super teams that have had to pivot, but now find themselves here with a very similar story, honestly.
Yes, they really have. I mean, both have been, mad with those roles issues, really, throughout the beginning of it as well. And they've had to, come to terms, I suppose, and with their own rosters and make their own moves and really settle into the positions they're at right now. But the stakes of this match, Josh, are actually quite simple in theory. Sentinels would love a win here today against Cloud9. It would set themselves up beautifully as they look forward to those playoffs. And for Cloud9, it's a little bit more simpler. They beat Sentinels. They've beaten every single North American team that's currently in the Americas split. It's the last team that they've got to take off their list.
Poison's off.
First map here of Lotus. We get started on the pistol round. It's a slow beginning.
Very slow, isn't it? Sentinels anticipating some level of aggression from Cloud9. And as the Trailblazer comes in through C, I saw Leaf getting a little antsy, looking like he wanted to push. The Trailblazer goes out. Is he going to try and open this door? What's the play here? Leaf has to be worried about playing too far forwards because that rotating door could open at any point. Sentinels have bound control.
They do back away.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, okay, paranoia in his face there. Zekken lined it up. That was from Def, yeah. So not able to see that, but a quick maneuver over now towards the B side. You can see the smokes drop down, laid down as that late lurk that might play importance as well later on. Fight to be taken, no one really clearing, but okay, but Zekken managing it. Not only that, getting two for his troubles. Celsius pushing forwards past the smoke, yet Zekken watches it. Watchful eye on all the extremities as that B hit started to come through, and a critical pistol round to go their way.
Yeah, you got everything that you're hoping for as a Sentinels fan there, and you can see the crowd being happy about it as well. Zekken on the entry, on the raise, popping heads, looking great with the frenzy, and here's that lurk from Marv catching Rooney. There's just so many awesome matchups in terms of the head-to-heads in this match. Obviously, you have, to me, the star one is Zekken versus Leaf. And as we go into map 2 on Fracture, that's probably going to end up being Zekken versus Zeppa on the raise. But more so, how does Zekken on entry stack up against whoever Cloud9 are putting forwards there? And then the places where Sentinels can find that big star power advantage, in theory, is the Marv v Jake and the Sassy v Rooney kind of head-to-heads. Obviously, Marv and Rooney both playing Viper on this map. And so I think for the newer players from Cloud9 or the players with less experience, it's just about matching up against Marv and Sassy and trying to neutralize them. Marv's having none of it today, though, is he?
Yeah, gotta wake up a little bit early, I think, to catch Marv unaware.
Especially when he's got the Vandal round 2.
Confidence. Free side over towards T. It's gonna be that plan easily enough. Those head-to-head matchups that you were alluding to, Josh, are gonna play so much importance. What we're gonna be keeping an eye on in this series, especially with the roles chopping and changing.
Because also, Bren, you heard from Zelsis there right before the game began. Oh, there we go. Shouldn't make too much difference, though. But a Vandal in the hands of Jake is certainly something that Sentinels will want to take back. Jake feeling confident enough to try and take the duel instead of save the Vandal there. Not the percentage play, but listen, I can appreciate it.
A lot of damage being done, though, onto that round. You know, 3 players surviving.
Yeah.
You get to keep the guns going, but yeah.
I did just want to point out, though, we heard from Zelsis earlier in an interview that we showed on broadcast where he said, for Sentinels, they need somebody to kill 3 or 4 players in a round just to win the round. And Zelsis said, I don't think that that's reliable. And that, to me, is the big story of this match. Cloud9 have been able to get with this roster way earlier. They look disciplined. Their map pool looks fantastic. Sentinels are still kind of pugging it, improvising. Like that, exactly.
Flip of the finger, stuns. Let loose and let rip. Marv being pushed off that angle as well. Can't opt into playing it. Firing off the utility just to see if he can, you know, feign it, disrespecting it and taking out Rune's control.
It is actually a cool snake bite, the one that Marv threw. It denies Jake from TPing up there, or if he did, he would take a lot of damage from it. It's like a molly that lands on top of rubble. Slow beginnings to the pistol and round 3 here. Trailblazers match. And the one from Zeppa just, the idea being to deny Sentinels that space they're trying to take off the dog and keep Jake in position.
Okay, that early position that was taken, it had to be util. Use an exchange of it. You can see the paranoia was sent flying. Now, there's a lot of danger behind this round of Sentinels, despite them being on the bonus round, because they managed their economy well enough that they've got those bulldogs and rifles. So the pressure starts to mount on Cloud9, in particular Leaf. Holding his ground now with 30 seconds remaining.
The stun here is so good, potentially.
Oh, wow, Johnny just takes up the straight-up fight. Boombot heading towards him, gives him the timing that he knew to take.
There's
Backs away, 20 seconds. What is the goal? Where do you want to land? Opening up the door, looks like potentially into the B site, but a little bit on still. Holding the angle, pixel perfect. That's what it is for Marv. Taking out one of the players. Flash to the side, going to be dodged and still holding that high ground position. Slide off angle, the jiggle of the movement from Jake. He aims to take the fight, but doesn't get rewarded. Still being taken. And it's all being watched for. Zeppa, the Phantom spam, but 2 players watching him. He won't get much further than that.
That looks so clean from Sentinels. Really, really solid round. Considering there was only 20 seconds left on the clock and they'd been denied C, and Leaf found the first kill, to be able to pivot into the B side, and Marv knowing the exact angle that Rooney was trying to hold, just that slim little crack that feels like an off angle, but actually is the spot that you're most predictable to be stood at if you're in heaven trying to just get info safely. I mean, the read there from Marv is gorgeous to open that up. And then he grabs another by double facing with Death.
Cover going out.
It looked so calm, considering the time limit.
And normally, Now we're entering a scenario where Cloud9 are on the weaker guns, they're on the weaker buy. And for any other team, you might start to talk about the storylines, the wider points, but with Cloud9, they are so damn successful. We're in these thrifty rounds.
It's just ridiculous.
An unbelievable level of consistency. And with those 2 opening picks they've already got, might look to put another one on the board. Why not? Rifles going their way. It's left down to just 2, Sassy and Zekken. And what risks do you take? Pushing forwards here, Zekken doesn't want to try and take the timing. A ton of damage in the process, but he did find his placement there towards Waterfall. Deep in a tucked-in position. Stuns rattle across. Sassy, Paranoia, he's blinded up. Nanoswarm at his feet as well. Nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And Cloud9 just like that. You can't count them out.
They win another thrifty. It's just bonkers. Des were talking about it earlier, but they have twice the thrifty win rate of every other team. The average is about 15%. They're sat at 32%. If you think about it, right? When you have rifles in a round, you're supposed to win about half the time. So, you know, gun round win rate is supposed to be about 50%. Their thrifty win rate is 32%. It barely makes a difference.
Almost approaching that level, but yeah, something about this team. Fearless when it comes to taking the fights. Even when they're on the eco.
But also, that's part of it, right? They have that level of aggression to their play that normally they don't. They normally play with a lot of discipline, and then on the ecos, they take risks. But they're risks that they play together. They have a calculated piece of aggression where they swarm a player.
Yeah, always calculated, converging on one player or 2.
And now we're back onto the gun round. Cloud9 are going to fight over C, over Mound. This is the area that Sentinels have been prioritizing to start the rounds, but they default heavily towards B right now. It's still slow, but everybody on Sentinels is grouped up, ready to hit the B site and pop down this Viper's pit.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the sole goal, isn't it? Marv, his important ultimate. It's going to be the one to note. Lockdown does clear all the way through. There's going to be no chance in hell that Cloud9 are able to break this one. You can see Zeppa. He's holding an aggressive angle, but we'll have to respect this one eventually because there we go, finally coming through. Nade as well. So Flash is going to be one of the Nanoswarm. Zekken stood right in the fray of it. Chunk down to absolutely no help at all. Plan starts to go down. Where is the pit? Doesn't want to opt to use it. Still holding into the choke point, holding these angles. Gliding forwards. The Seekers, they're all blinded up. And they cannot stand a chance. Cloud9 flooding right back in, denying any opportunity of getting that plant down.
Keep that fire,
really great round by Cloud9. Even though they were pushed away by the lockdown, they throw out the neon stuns early, and then they've got the nanoswarms to deny the plant, and all of that results in Sentinels still being not properly set up by the time the retake comes back through. And at that point, it's Leaf diving forwards, Paranoia in, Flash is coming from the sky. But all of it only able to work because Cloud9 delayed Sentinels from getting in off the lockdown to start with. Very smart play. Well executed.
Money's looking a little bit odd in this current scenario for Sentinels. I mean, Sassy's working with the Spectre, but everybody grouped up now. An attempt to reclaim. They're going to be meeting them pound for pound, aren't they, with the bodies? Holding the util in their hands. Dog's going to be spotting 1 or 2, backing away.
You look at what Def is doing. He's holding his Paranoia ready to fight this.
And he's going to be sending this one flying, I think, as soon as the dog well broken up.
Look at how good these neon stuns are from Leaf. He's using them to stop Sentinels from taking space. They use a Trailblazer there, they can't do anything because there's a stun on the choke point.
It's been 40 seconds bought just from that alone.
And here, I thought Leaf was going to come over to B and read the play properly. He's not here, but all the Killjoy utility is. Everywhere they go, they're facing stuns or nanoswarms.
If the end goal is B, they'll have a hard time of it with all of the Killjoy utility, like you're saying, Josh, just lay it down. But it looks like the rest of Sentinels grouping up. Orb's going to fall now. It's the timing that Sentinels could take, and they're making a lot of noise in the process. Leaf at the back of the side, he's blinded, near-sided. Everybody vulnerable, but he just cannot quite land the shots. No kills to be claimed, yet Zelsis, he does respond. Backing him up, him and Rooney in the crossfire setup is perfect.
Not ready yet.
The push and pull left the 3 players left standing. Smoke has to go up now, and the plant also needs to be at least situated. 11 seconds remaining. There's an opportunity for Cloud9 to take a fight, and they do just that. They knew the plant was going down, and it was going to be isolated into some of these fights. And how does this get taken? 2v4. It'd have to be heroics, it'd have to be massive, and it just can't be that at all when Cloud9 are just so damn regimented.
Very well done. They look so clean on these retake attempts. Like, they have very clear ideas of what they want to be doing. They're putting the pressure down together, always coordinated, very disciplined. They don't give free peeks. They only play when they know that Sentinels are going to be distracted.
10 seconds left. Spike planted.
It's looking extremely regimented from Cloud9 here. And Sentinels are going to take a tactical timeout. Sen are really getting stalled out. These hits are coming through with 15 seconds on the clock, 20 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
And Sen just can't break through. One of the big reasons is, again, that neon. The neon in the mid-round is denying them so much so much space on the map. And normally, you see teams are capable of being able to get back into A. A has essentially been shut down here by Cloud9. And that's because they're willing to fight it with the Trailblazer, using it not as an information tool, but as a tool to deny space for Sentinels.
Yeah.
And they're using the neon stuns to do the same thing, to deny that A site, and then
I mean, they're very effective.
wraps around.
Cheap piece of utility use. As soon as, one larger piece comes out from Sentinels,
Yeah.
like a Trailblazer to try and re-clear and take the A main position, you just send out one stun, goes flying, and it stuns the entire push.
So for Sentinels, Kaplan is a very macro-oriented coach. That's what the players have been talking about recently in multiple interviews. I think an adjustment here would be to fight heavily over A main. If you fight A heavy at the beginning of these rounds, maybe you get stunned and you all die, but I think you should be able to get Def past that choke point with a teleport.
Should be able to teleport immediately, yeah.
Yeah, and try and fight over it. Instead, though, it looks like a very similar kind of setup to start this early round from Sentinels. But look at that. Instantly, Leaf just sends one stun into the A choke point, and he's wrapping all the way around to C.
It's a benefit that you can have with the neon. Faster rotations.
It's crazy, actually, the value that Footballists have been getting from it, or Foot, I should say, sorry, over in EMEA.
Yeah.
And no one else apart from them and Cloud9 are playing the neon on this map, really.
Even though it seems really quite effective. There's going to be that re-clear. Maybe not all of it, though. Could be the backside of Ruins. Of course, we know that nobody's there. And Sen move forwards.
Yeah, they've managed to get in through A here, so already a very different dynamic in the round.
But they're going to be meeting the Killjoy setup. Zelsis has moved and shifted it over. It's been on B for most of these rounds, and it's been chewing up Sentinels every time they try and attack. And now it might be another thorn in their sides if they want to try and go for this one. Here's the util. Popped off. Delays, denies any of them from being able to move up and take that space. Paranoia. Nade clearing out to the middle section, but Leaf still off to the side here. There was that nade up towards his feet, but now he's being really pressured hard. The lockdown pushing him back, and it's a pivot. Yet Rooney, he holds his ground and holds it down. The convergence on his position, just into the connector. But still, they will not get any further into the B site, and the spike is in such an awful spot. 15 seconds left in a 2v4. You just got to save. Got to back away, got to try and keep these rifles, yet they can't afford to it. Fight's still being taken, they know where Def is. His position's noted, and he is taken out.
Leaf can be very happy about that one. The read is perfect. You'd called it out exactly, Brent. The Killjoy setup had rotated. They were giving them access to A, knowing that that would be an adjustment coming out from the timeout, and just melted them with the Killjoy utility. It's not so much that the KJ utility, killed people, but it allowed Leaf to play a very secure spot. They had 3 players stacking onto the A site. The lockdown was still good as well, that pushed them away. And then they read the pivot into B. It just feels like Cloud9 are one step ahead. And bear in mind, by the way, that this is the most attacking-sided map that we have in the entire rotation.
Yeah.
For Cloud9 to be putting up 4 already in the first 7, this is an amazing start on Sentinels.
It's already a good half. You see these teams leaning into a lot of the double controller comps as well, just to shore up the defenses and make sure that you can scrape together as many rounds as possible. Attacking should be, in theory, the easier side of things. And this is going to be a wonderful start, looking to grab that 5th round on the board as well for the defensive side, when you consider that Sentinels aren't working with much at all. Scraps, basically, the Sheriffs, but even with scraps, sometimes you see the magic being performed. Just takes a couple of shots to be landed.
And it showcases how uncomfortable Sentinels have been in these planting situations, that they've managed to get the spike down every time, and yet Marv has not been able to use his Viper's Pit in post.
Same utility to clear forwards here. Def actually the one TPing past a lot of this. Sunned up though onto the corner, now a showstopper. It's all being utilized to try and push them back. Okay, one shot landed, rocket flies forward. No kills to be claimed, yet Zephyr still holding it. 16 health and a dream, and guess what? Made manifest. Still alive, holding it. No one able to push past this one. Flash connects, dodged by Sassy, yet still 4 in the round for him. Lovely job done, building up to the Seekers yet again.
And the smile on MCE's face says it all. The game plan is just working perfectly. Sen had a couple of nice ideas at the beginning. Apart from that, they've been completely shut out. Whenever they get into a post-plant spot, they're always not favored. C9 have grabbed the kill early, or they've slowed them down, all got set up for the retake. It's just been devastating. The Killjoy utility once again on the A side of things here. Neon stun at A makes it feel very similar, but they're going to stack towards the C side early and allow them entry to A because they're perfectly happy holding this area with Zellsis and Leaf. Zekken used his ult in the prior round, so they don't have that showstopper to get in onto C and create space for the pit to go down. I'm really wondering when Marv is going to get a chance to use this pit. He's playing the lurk, committing over to the A site a lot, and he's not there early with the rest of his team, or at least not in a comfortable post-plant spot to use this ult. And look at this again. Leaf has put early pressure rubble, rotates to C in the mid-round at the minute mark. They're stacking C with Killjoy utility towards A, and they're confident in their B retakes. The game plan just looks great from C9.
Very defensive setup. Holding their ground as well. 40 seconds. Ticking down, whittling away. The alarm bot's going to be spotting one of the players moving close. That's Marv, so alerted now to the presence, and you might start to see those rotations coming through from Cloud9.
30 seconds left.
Job of Zellsis is just to try and hold on for as long as he possibly can, and it won't be for much long at all. Viper's Pit in the hands of Marv here. He can drop that one down and give some coverage to the rest of his team, but he is very low.
Yeah, he's only 20 health.
One shot will really bring down the entirety of this defense as they get into the post plan. Still, Cloud9 look to coalesce themselves now, pushing forwards into the pit. Dropping down, Zekken holding one angle for it. Moving though, vulnerable up, and well, right through the box. Corner enough angle, gliding. Marv. Decayed down, has to back away. The pit will be falling in just a moment. Where's the rest of his team to help him out here? Spamming every single corner of it. Pit's going to be falling any moment now. Spraying through. Raid it down. And Pancada just was not noted. He didn't know that Jake had already maneuvered his way to the side.
And the retake works once more for Cloud9. Def even threatened to use his ult to reposition into their spawn, but they just couldn't hold on.
I feel the strain.
Cloud9 dominated the Viper's Pit. The early damage onto Marv forced him to play a passive position. They couldn't hold on. Zekken got spammed. Cloud9 controlled every spot around the pit. And then after spamming and getting a player advantage, they swarm in together. The coordination looks brilliant from this squad. They look probably like one of the most disciplined teams in Americas. Well, it's them and Leviathan, probably.
Which is just absurd. You consider where we began with this roster. You know, it was turbulent at best. That's how you describe it. Yeah. Bringing in the rookie upstarts, Rooney and Jake. Obviously, experience at the tier 2 and collegiate level, but, you know, brought to the big stage, surrounded by a lot of that veteran talent, yet what they've been able to do has been nothing short of brilliant. You can see that, just a little fight being taken. The walls go straight back up again, and they disengage, backing away.
And for all of the merits that we were giving Cloud9 on their ability to win ecos, and we did see one of those in round 4, it's been the gun rounds that have just been devastating for Sentinels. They haven't won one. They managed to win the pistol and then the bonus round, which, to be fair, was almost like for like in terms of the weaponry on board. And Marv has gotten off a very nice lurk here.
Yep. Deep through, but this wall's about to be dropping soon, and there's going to be 3 players meeting one of them. There we go. Pancada does not anticipate it. Looking towards the top of the staircase.
Oh, but Marv knows that they're all retreating.
But it's about this fight, and Leaf is so damn aware.
That's ridiculous.
The way he peeks that angle, the way he takes that fight.
I can't believe that.
Fully favored.
I'm amazed that he thinks Marv could be in that spot. But it is Marv. And now in a 2v5, it is very sad signs for Sentinels.
10 seconds left.
Remember, Cloud9 have dominated every other North American team that we've got. Sentinels, sure, Sassy and Pancada are on the squad, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to save them here.
Not even able to keep those guns.
C9 just look insane.
Yeah.
And now this demonstrates that their map pool is just bonkers.
It's all over the place, but in terms of the strengths of it, it's absurd.
It's crazy. Cloud9 look amazing on Ascent, and Cloud9 got rid of Ascent to go to Haven as map 3. What does that tell you? If we can even get to a third map, Cloud9 might have something monstrous cooked up there after their loss to NRG. And then they also look incredible on Pearl, a map that they decided to get rid of, because Sen also looked good there. And they look great on Split, too.
Cloud9 team making resounding waves, knocking at the door of every single North American team. One final opponent left if they really want to try and claim the top spot amongst the North American teams. That's Sentinels here. So far, so good. 7-3, still controlling. You peek your head out that angle towards A, see if you can get a freebie as well just by taking someone's head off. Not likely, and Zelsis inside of the smoke watch for has the util as well. So Turret sees that one, wants to take the fight. Drop down to 20 health though, has to respect it. Meanwhile, a lot of pressure being applied. That's Def.
Oh, okay, finally Leaf gets taken out. His reign of terror potentially curbed just for a moment. And Sentinels get into a post plant, but once more, it's not a favored one.
No, not a favored one. Players weakened. Seekers now to try and give them that information. Fight needs to be taken by Marv with the Guardian. Tap with a rifle. He is in position now. Picked up that Vandal. Defuse starts to come through, but the lockdown in play. Half on the defuse, sticking it all the way. Angles are being watched for. The call's been made. They're just stacking it.
One enemy remaining. Last player standing. Last round.
Smiles on their face. I mean, it's just disbelief.
Sen didn't have the weaponry to be able to swing there, and we're just hoping that Cloud9 would not go for it, would not fully stick. And Marv's not in a spot where he can defend the spike. This is absolute domination. And Leaf is just controlling the whole game. The game plan is excellent from Cloud9, but Leaf's ability to be in the right place at the right time, perfectly reading where Sentinels want to go on the map and denying them constantly, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's taking luxuries with it. And look at this, Paranoia flash over the top as well, just afforded. Now Sentinels investing heavily into try and push this one back, but Zelsis, oh, he might have done his homework. That's a ping in the common position where people are usually going to be trailblazing and standing still. Oh, there it is. Oh my goodness. Marv was dropped to 1 health.
1 HP before the heal comes through.
Yep. He's going to be topped back up to 100, but it's also a little bit unlucky not to claim a kill there, but you can see it at play. They knew the orb was going to be played for. It was pinged out.
And this round, if it gets down to a low amount of time, Rooney's just going to use his pit preemptively. So Sentinels need to hurry up. The Trailblazer comes towards B. Marv picks up another orb. He's looking for that pit to come online. And here comes Rooney. The time is low enough now that he just feels happy committing it.
And this is an absolute chokehold. All on the defensive side. Doors rotating, but they're being funneled right into the B site. Zelsis perfectly willing to let them in here. Confidence in their retakes for the rest of his team, because the position's noted. Look at this from Leaf as well, flanking all the way through main. The extra element, but with a Viper Pit in play now, this is where things do get a little bit more tricky. Kill found as well towards Heaven. That's Pancada winning his fight, but Marv low enough that a single bullet again will bring him down. And as soon as he's down, and yep, dealt with, so does the pit. Flash, not finding anything. Fight to be taken, swinging all the way through. Sassy does well to get 2, but left up to Pancada. Tap, down to the one-on-one, sticking it through Rooney. Smoke covering him all the way. Pro's not faking in the slightest, and that's 9-3. Absolutely impeccable stuff.
A dominant half and heartbreak there. Ridiculous situation. Cloud9 running away with it. Unbelievable.
Yeah, fully in control of this half. 9-3 being it, but we're going to send it out to GB with a special guest, one of the finest competitors in all the land.
Thank you so much, fellas. I am here joined by someone you may know him as the GOAT or one of the 5 gods, one of the greatest Fox players of all time, or just a championship Melee player. Ladies and gentlemen of Riot Games Arena, make some noise for Mango, the legend himself, here today. Now, Mango, quick question. C9's looking pretty good right now, Papa. They're crushing the game. I know that you're the 6th man. As the 6th man, what are you telling the team right now as we go into the next half?
They look good. I mean, they didn't fake twice in a row. I feel like they're all smiling. I feel like when the whole team is smiling, that's just a vibe that, like, you just know it's going well.
Yeah, it really does help out. Now, quick question for you. How has it been in this experience in the Riot Games Arena? Because it's very different, obviously. Smash events always played in, like, big convention centers and stuff like that, but to come into the studio, how's that been?
So Riot brought me a burger, which is more than Nintendo's ever done for me. So I've been here for 10 seconds, so I'm loving it, man. It's really cool vibe. It's been great, yeah.
Hey, you can't hate that. I have no follow-up to that question. So now, as we get ready for this, I want you to help us out at home. And why don't you tell us how Cloud9 are going to win this game, but using Smash terms only? Go.
They will force stock them.
They will force stock?
Yes.
Some edge guarding?
A little edge guarding.
Yeah. Couple up smashes.
This is like too corny for me. I don't know how to translate it all.
I asked him to do that. I was like, prepare something, and he looks at me and goes, yeah, I guess so. It was an attempt, and an attempt was made. My friend, I want to thank you so much for joining us here. Obviously, you're rooting for Cloud9, but where can people find you next?
Twitch.tv/Mango. I've been playing a bunch of Valorant. Went 1-1 in my premier games. Gonna try and make playoffs, see how that goes.
All right, Mango, appreciate you, brother.
Cheers,
Thank you so much. Shout out to Mango's chat. Shout out to everyone in here. Let's send it back over to Brendan Sideshow.
Lovely interview, yeah. Incredibly relatable with the burger as well. You know, Josh, me and you coming from TF2, we're fully aware of that one. But
I mean, also relatable with the 1-on-1.
The 1-on-1 in Premier.
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about it. I was losing sleep last night.
Exactly. So that previous half that we just watched ended with ended with a stick on the spike. Yeah. Diffusing it there. Rooney taking down Marv. And also, that entire first half, Zekken went 0-5 on first kills. Died 5 times out of 12 at the beginning of the rounds, and most of those to Leaf.
So nothing really going Sen's way.
I mean, Leaf just absolutely controlling the game.
Now you're on one of the more difficult sides of the map as well. Lotus so far proving to be very attacker-sided. Alarm bot's broken, it was spotted out. Orb into the side, Pankata. Back of his mind, holding his ground here, but potential was there for a little peek, but now the angles are watched for. Nana Swarm's dropped down, and his post plant set up by Cloud9 is so damn good. Already putting the pressure, and the heat turned up. Off to the side, smoking away. Leaf doesn't overstep his boundaries. He backs away almost immediately. He's done his job with the kill found. Nade as well, going to be clearing him out all the way, but look at how fast he's ducking, weaving, bobbing, juking his way past all this utility, up close into the smoke. Pankata wins his one. Still the trade is there, sticking it. Not to halfway though. Have to get off of it now. Positions noted for Rooney. Do they have the util to really deny this one? I believe the Nanoswarm's cleared. Right clicks down. It's up to Zekken. A tap onto it. Was hoping for a wider swing, but no one's giving him any ground or space whatsoever. And with the pistol round one, this map is all but sealed up, just missing a pretty bow tie.
Yeah, this is complete dominance. Absolute dominance. The game plan just working to perfection. Cloud9's post-plant positions are so disciplined in that spot, and even when some of them fall, even with only those 2 players left alive, they're disciplined to just peek the spike, make sure there's nobody on it, and only commit to fights when they need to. It just seals it up for them, despite the player disadvantage. Sentinels came out here with a pick on Lotus. They tried it before against NRG too. It has not worked. It has not worked. Cloud9 are in their heads.
Toxins going up.
The Sentinels, I mean, the only thing you're going to be looking forward to here is making it respectable, I think.
Yeah, and also not just that, but trying to get some confidence back into your players. I'm thinking specifically Zekken here, because the fact of him being 0-5, and it's not 0-5 because Zekken's playing an awful game. It's because they're getting completely read by Cloud9, shut down every time they want to go into a choke. He can't do anything. He's never taken a favored fight. You still might expect him to win 1 or 2, but 0-5, and heading into the next map, he's going to be taking the Raze head-to-head against Zeppa. So you need to get some confidence into it.
Ball's made to take the fight here. 2 flashes committed. There was another one at play to help Zelsis out because Zeppa has got his teammates back, denying all of that one. And I mean, just another first play.
Yeah, another first death where they read the play. Zekken's first in, and they shut him down. It's bad weaponry again. Obviously, I'm not talking about it in terms of it being his fault, but I do think
30 seconds left.
The like mental damage might be coming through now for the next map. You still need Sentinels to believe that they can win this on Fracture and Haven.
It's about getting as many rounds as possible under your belt because this one's just locked up here. It's going to be that 11th round. Economy's good. Pancada just hoping to do as much damage as possible here. Right click, taking away a couple of the pieces of the armor, bits and pieces nevertheless, but not the kill that he was hoping for.
If you see one of my creatures, it's a good thing, all right?
Cloud9
we'll figure out what they do eventually.
Just look phenomenal on this map, and it's not just here. Like I said earlier, their map pool looks fantastic. Their Fracture's been good in the past too. The Haven pick, it is a surprise, but I really hope we go to 3 just so that I can see what Cloud9 have got cooked up there. At the moment, this team is one of the most delightful to watch.
Yeah,
super disciplined, always coming up with new ideas and executing it to perfection.
It's just outstanding what they managed to achieve as well. Expectations at the beginning of the season were low, given the changes they ended up making back and forth, obviously. I'm going to bring in Rooney and Jake with not much experience at all, but they've shored up those defensives. Still, fast play. Pushing deep into C. Pancada, let's get the first kill, but backing away now on a bit of a spam angle. It's no Odin in the hands of Marv. He's waiting for this plant to come down in a common enough position, but Cloud9, look at that discipline. Again, they waste it out. They don't rush into things. They get the first pick, but they're perfectly happy to slow this down and wait for the cooldowns once more. Orb coming up. Swing from Jake as well. Takes the fight, but there's a trade almost immediately there, yet still. Backup finally arriving with the gun advantage that they've got in their hands. Flash, Sassy dodges, and Sassy contains.
It's a nice round from Sentinels. They're able to control it, and they get that first pick onto Leaf, finally taking him out of the action. And Leaf did invest in that round. He bought the hero rifle on their bonus, and actually Zelsis is going to drop him, and Zelsis just using the stinger. Very selfless behavior, I can appreciate that.
I mean, he's frying right now.
Yeah.
Invest the resources. So what worked well for SEN in that previous round is this early A pressure. Take control of that extremity, but you got to contain over towards C now with that first kill. There's no time wasted. Popping all the way through. Kind of holding very far back as well. Has one Nano Swarm in a common plant position, so that's going to be buying a bit of time, but it's still planted a little bit further back. Doesn't catch all of it.
Spike planted.
It's still not a bad plant spot, though. They can play the post-plant lineups from a long way away.
Seekers though to try and re-clear this one. Dog broken. In but a moment here, second round the back. Leaf doesn't have the crosshair placement. So fight one. Clearing up some of the Nano Swarms, but one popped off, and this post plant can still be played from the top of the mountain position. How do you win this one? Def smoking it off still. Seeing it now, the Viper Orb as well as that. A bit of spam at battle back and forth, and I hate it when the rounds come down to this because it really does feel like a coin flip at best, but time is running so damn short. Crosshair placement was good. Spike ticking down though. You don't have that luxury anymore. Can't play it. Have to back away. Have to save. So Cloud9 find himself on that 12th round, on that map point. All the way. And we sing the praise of this Cloud9 team. Time is over of being surprised as well. I mean, they've weathered the storm early on. They found their footing with this roster. The map pool is looking fleshed out. Looking like a real contender.
Yeah, it's so interesting comparing the narratives of these two teams because, like we mentioned earlier, Both of these squads were expected to be super teams at the start of 2023, and they were forced for different reasons to pivot, to make roster changes, and kind of start from square one again. But Cloud9 had that shift a while back, and the improvements that they've made since being forced to make those shifts and add Jake and Rooney to the team, they've improved astronomically. That even their first showings were good, but now they're at a spot where they're genuinely one of the top teams in VCT Americas. They're taking down big squads. They're dismantling teams like Sentinels here on Lotus. And it feels like they have a real shot at having that top 2 seed. Remember, top 2 seed means that you only need to win 1 game in playoffs, and you are through to Tokyo. That is monumental.
It's a big deal.
For Jake to go from collegiate to Tokyo in 1 split would be crazy, but that's where we're at with this squad. That's the level of performance that they're bringing.
Yeah, I mean, just you asked that sentence as well at the beginning of the split. You got to be kidding me, but well, 1 step away from securing up the first map. This was Sentinel's map pick as well onto Lotus. A bit of a gamble that hasn't quite played off. Whereas the weaknesses in Cloud9's map pool yet to really be discovered. So it might come down to this. Big clash now over towards the A side. Nade around the back, Paranoia as well, moving backwards and forwards. Leaf still claiming 2 off to the side. Dev still on a high ground position. He's only going to get 2 before eventually brought down.
And there's the advantage that Sentinels could just never find on their attack half. The brawl that happens, usually favoring the attackers, Marv, forced to make a play with a player disadvantage.
Yep, drops down. He's noted. They're going to be able to hear that one. Lockdown in play as well. And now there has to be an increase of the tempo. The pace brought up a tad, but no respect to be shown. Backing away from the ultimate. You're going to get detained by Gata. Oh, no. And now that spike timer ticking away. It's agony. It's going to be brutal. And what much more can you do? The post-plant setup, playing safe, all the way back. Spam angles with the Odins. They know exactly where to aim for here. Fight has to be taken. Not winnable at all. 13 rounds versus the 4 that Sen picked up, and map 1 is theirs.
In an absolutely dominating fashion, and a crushing defeat for Sentinels that looks like it's inflicted psychic damage. I mean, the end of that map, Sentinels look completely mentally out of it. I think this is where you would have seen the former coaching staff and the strengths of people like Psycho really come into the forefront. I think that's going to be a challenge for the Sentinels coaching squad now, for Kaplan and for Drew, to pick them back up mentally, emotionally. It's not a strategy change. You can't win a game like this with a strategy change. There's just too much of a gulf there.
Yeah.
Cloud9 had completely read the book and outplayed them. But now it's important that you just hit the refresh button and move on and see if you can beat them on Fracture and Haven. But Cloud9 look ridiculously good.
Just from strength to strength with every single match. I mean, maybe that veteran presence that is there on the Sentinel squad is able to bounce back all the way, but we're yet to find out. We're going to step away for a little bit. Up next, GB in the analyst desk, breaking down map number 1 and setting us up for the rest of the series. Don't go anywhere.
He is currently unstoppable. True. He is just a consistent demon. El Diablo.
Hey guys, it's Ye. Welcome to my course on optimal Valorant training. I'm going to be demonstrating now some angle clearing. I'll slowly come around the corner as well, making sure no one's on these off angles.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.